Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to the High Energy Entrepreneur Radio Show on the iNetpreneur Network. I'm Donna Guinouard, and I am so glad you joined us this afternoon. Today, we have three amazing guests, but before we get into that, I need you to do three things for me. One, subscribe to the channel. Two, make sure you bookmark all your networking activities at ntevents.net. And three, like us on our Facebook page. The iNetpreneur Network is where entrepreneurs, business owners, influencers, and experts come together to talk about their challenges and their triumphs, their tragedy and their impact. Let's get behind the stories and learn from their perspiration to their inspiration. I'm joined here today by none other than Robert W. Jones, who is the owner and founder of Network Together. Robert, so good to be back together again.
Absolutely. Hey, Donna, how are you? It's been a great week, has it not?
It has been. It's been crazy busy.
I know. I'm seeing people come into the virtual meeting rooms that I haven't seen in a long time, and I feel like it's almost like a party each and every time. And it's just like, hey, John, I haven't seen you, or hey, Donna, I haven't seen you in a while, and a different Donna. But it's really nice to see old faces and have new chats.
Well, it was wonderful. I was a member presenter today in Queen Creek, and one of the members I've never had the opportunity to meet called me up right after the meeting, and we have a one-on-one set up for next Friday.
Yeah. And I think what people are finding is they're getting over their fear of technology. Some of us, we just get in here. We've been using Zoom, Skype, and other tools, to be seen and heard, but for others, they had a little bit of a fear. But the thing is business keeps going on, and if you don't get in, it's just going to go to someone else. And I think that that's what's, we're kind of all seeing that together collectively, that, hey, we all are in this together, but right. Let's show up and let's help each other.
Well, look at it like this. My bills don't stop. So if I stop, right? If I stop, I don't get paid. So, now is the time to jump in and be heard.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And, but, I'm just really excited this week. We've been having the weekly mastermind, our magazine issues. Yeah. Our magazine issue. We've totally sold out of our contributors areas in the magazine, and it's iNetwork Expo. It's iNet Magazine. Summer 2020 is going to be our new issue coming out. So we're so excited about that. Yes. Our very own Kimberly Miner is going to be on the cover. So, we cannot wait to get that out. So woot woot to Kimberly.
Absolutely. And, I've been in that magazine. I was in the second edition with Laura Langmeyer.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, it is such a valuable tool. If you're on the fence, look at it this way. You can go and have that copy, your article copied off, and use that as a selling point for your customers.
Yeah, and you did a great job of doing that. And, it just announces to the world that you have a credibility that others may not have. And, right. And in the magazine, it's just not the printed magazine that we have. We have a flip version of it, which acts like a digital magazine in itself, with even page turns that make sound. We also have it in a PDF, and we also send it out each and every issue to our CRM, which houses 17,000 people that are signed up for the subscription of the magazine. So, we're really excited about that. And you know what? I'm so excited today, and I cannot wait to hear you and the guests today. We have Billy Batt from Canada, Katie Evans from Arizona, and we have Michael Cabradilla from San Diego. So you have your hands full, Donna.
I do. all over. I'm excited. Real quick, before we jump into our speakers, Robert, what other announcements do we have for the members and guests who are listening?
Well, I just want to remind each and every one that Network Together did a 180-degree pivot from being an all in-person networking organization, believe it or not, in 72 hours, we turned into an all virtual networking organization, but we still have over 1,200 ways to meet. They may not be in person, but they're digital. And right now we are offering a 1-week, try us and see if you like a special for virtual memberships from people even as far as Canada for only $99. So,
right.
Come try us out and be a part of the Network Together family, where relationships create community, commerce follows, and we want to do that commerce with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is an exciting time, but understand that hopefully COVID won't last forever. And so we will back into our in-person meetings as well. We're still going to have our virtual up. So, when you can get the best of both worlds in the right membership for that.
Well, it just gives us more opportunities to meet, and
absolutely.
Absolutely. So I'm excited for the show, Donna.
Great. Well, Robert, thank you so much. I really excited to introduce our first guest. I have known her for quite some time. She's a dear friend of mine. We have our one-on-ones are like 2-3 hours. I have Katie Evans with Living 48 Real Estate. Hey, Katie, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Donna. I'm so glad to be here with you. And it's true, our one-on-ones are more like a girlfriend get-together than anything, but it's super fun.
I know, it's fun. And we get yummy Mexican food.
Yes.
So, before we get into the interview, I want to take a few moments to brag about you. So this is what I love. Yes, I love about Katie is, number one, she is the owner and lead agent of 48 Real Estate, Living 48 Estate. She is a former teacher, and she does countless volunteer activities for our community with children, with other organizations. I don't even know all of the ones that she volunteers with. But because of her former teaching, Katie explains things in a way that is so genuine and nurturing that you never feel inadequate about asking a question. And that is a beautiful, beautiful quality that you have about you, and I so admire. So welcome.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, that is too kind of you, Donna. I do really bring my teaching background with me into my real estate career. I tell people that I've just gone from teaching little people to teaching big people, and it's honestly not that much different.
Right, just bigger questions, right?
Bigger questions. They have bigger dollar signs attached to the questions, definitely.
Exactly. So, I like to get a little background on the people I interview. So I'm excited to find out. So where exactly, are you a native Arizonan? Where are you from?
Oh my gosh, I am as close to being an Arizona native as you can be without actually being one. I was born in Dallas, Texas, where my dad was going to orthodontic school at Baylor. And on my very, very first birthday to the date, we moved from Dallas, Texas to Tempe, Arizona. And I have lived in Arizona all my years, except for a few years where I left for college. We went to Utah for college, my husband and I. And when he finally graduated a year after I did, I looked at him and I said, "Take me home, I am frozen." And so we came back to Arizona and have lived here ever since. I love Arizona. I am truly a Zony girl through and through.
Yeah, I myself am pretty much that way. I came here, I was barely over a year from Montana. So, and I just recently moved back from Ohio about 4 years ago. So yeah, I understand. 45 below zero is way too cold for me.
No, it does not do cold well.
Yes, right. I take the pool in the sun any day of the week.
Exactly.
So give us a little background about you. So you were first a teacher.
Yeah, so I started off my life sort of as a teacher, and then my husband and I had our first daughter. And once I had our daughter, I actually had a wonderful privilege of going and working at the Provo City Library up in Utah. I ran all of their Born to Read programs. And then that was a big national program that we did where we had to write for grants and everything, and their story times. And then when we came back to Arizona, I went back into just sort of some odd sort of teaching jobs. I taught at a Montessori school. I was a music specialist. I did a bunch of other things as well. And then one day my husband decided that he wanted to open his own business. I had been doing clerical work since about, I was 14 years old. I'd worked for my dad. I'd worked for a life insurance agent, and he had taught me a lot about running offices. And so at that point, I ran our new business, and my husband was out there doing the sales and the installations and a bunch of other things with our partners. And I really ran the office and ran the business. After a while, I got really bored of that. My daughter was in junior high at the time, and up to that point, I'd been like the favorite mom helper because I could actually get in there and run groups and really help the teacher teach. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. But as anybody who has teenagers know, as soon as they get into junior high, they don't want you there anymore. And quite frankly, the teachers didn't really want you there either. So it was wonderful, and I enjoyed doing that. At that stage of the game, I was sort of bored doing what I was doing over at our company, and I decided I didn't want to take a classroom again as a full-time teacher. Because of the nature of the work that we had been doing, I had been in and out of high-end luxury and custom homes for the last several years. And it was just sort of a natural fit to go into real estate. Kind of went to my husband and said, okay, honey, here's what I'm looking at. Here's how much it costs to get into it. I won't know if I like it until I've done at least a couple of deals. At that point, I will have earned back the initial investment. So if I hate it, no harm, no foul. We go back to the drawing board. But if I love it, it makes a lot more money than a teacher. And so here I am, lots and lots of years later, loving what I do.
How many years have you been doing real estate now?
Over 8 years now.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Now, do you do all over the valley? Do you do commercial? Do you do, do you do out in Goodyear, Glendale?
Great question. So I specialize in the East Valley because that's where I grew up, and I have watched Mesa and Gilbert and Chandler and all those cities grow from farmland into what they are now. But I absolutely have team members that work in the other areas as well. So there is not an Arizona or an area in Arizona that we can't be of assistance to you. I personally focus on residential real estate, but I have partners that do commercial and property management. So again, we can help anyone. In fact, we have a service that we do for our clients who are moving out of state, where we will call and interview agents for them on their behalf and then refer those agents over to them as well, so that we're making sure that they're getting the same caliber of care in wherever they're going to as they would have gotten from us and our team here as well.
Oh, that's fabulous. I know that's a huge worry when you're out of state and you don't know anybody and you're like, I'm putting a lot of money on the line. I hope I'm not going to get taken, right?
Yes.
That's awesome. So you can do that in any state they move to?
Yeah, absolutely. Any state they move to. In fact, Keller Williams, the brokerage that I work under, we have all over the world. So really, I can help you interview and refer you agents all over the world.
Oh, that is fabulous. That is fabulous. So tell us, I'm curious, what are some of the things that set you apart, Katie, from perhaps another real estate agent? Because, we all know you can go in, open the door. This is, this is a living room. This is a kitchen kind of thing. But what makes you special? What makes you shine?
That is such a great question. So there's only so many ways you can lay out 4 walls. It's kind of a box. And so anybody can walk in and say, here's the kitchen, here's this. Really, what sets me apart from other real estate agents is my heart as a teacher. And so because of that, I really want my clients to be very comfortable making the decisions that they're making. I'm not making them on their behalf. I will never be that person that walks in and tells you how it's to be done. This is your family. This is your money. This is your life experience. But I am here to be a guide and a help throughout all of that. So in order to be the very, very best guide and help that I can be, I have to be a really good listener. So I'm quite talented at listening between the lines. People don't always say exactly what they mean. So really good at asking a lot of questions to really come down to what is it that you're really, really wanting? What is the real goal behind the goal that you're telling me right now? That's one thing that sets us apart. And we train our team. I have other agents on my team. And so we train them all to do this as well. I think it's really important that no matter who you work with on my team, you get that same level of service and same care. The other thing that we focus a lot on is understanding our market. Especially right now, our market is changing incredibly quickly. So we need to be able to understand and help guide our clients to what's coming next. Are we going to go into an opportunity for our buyers where we're going to have lots of houses for them to buy? Or are we going to maintain our really, really low inventory levels that we've been dealing with for the last several years, where we've had bidding wars? How do we win them those contracts? And if you're a seller, how do you make sure you maximize the equity in your home? So really understanding our market and how to work within the Arizona real estate market is just so important. And those are skills that if you do not stay up on, you're doing your clients such a disservice. So as much as I love my part-time agent friends and those who dabble, and your brother's cousin's dog's owner that is a real estate agent, you really, especially at this market at this time, need someone who understands what's going on and how to function within it.
Absolutely. And I know you, so I'm going to ask this question. I know that you have some special certificates that go along hand in hand with your real estate. And there are particular reasons why you went and got that education and have that certification to help your clients. Would you elaborate on those, please?
Yeah, so I do have a few special certifications. I have one where I'm specially trained to work with those who are divorcing and have a challenge of trying to determine what to do with the marital home. If one party wants to keep it or not, is it a good, sound investment for them to do that, or is it not a good idea and the long-term repercussions of it will be horrible to them financially? So we work hand in hand with attorneys and mediators to help those people make the best decisions possible. I have a certification where I work with military. So I'm a military specialist. They like things done a certain way, and it's really good to be able to serve and give back to those who have served and given so much to us as a country. I also have a certification in the iBuyer, and that is the instant buyer, the online buyer. So things like OfferPad, Open Door, all of those, they've pretty much dried up and gone away with everything that has happened with the coronavirus, but that doesn't mean that they're not coming back. And so having someone to represent you through that kind of a transaction and educate you through that so that you are, again, making informed decisions. There is absolutely a place in the market for them, but they run very, very differently than a normal real estate transaction. So I get those things because they're timely, because people need those people to be experts and help them in those arenas. And I think it's important that they get the best help that they can get as well.
It is important, and it shows integrity of your character that you are doing that, because there could be those who would take advantage of other people.
Absolutely, and do.
Yeah, absolutely, sadly. So what do you do when you take off your entrepreneurial hat?
What do I do?
What do you do to give you back? So in my business, in high energy performance coaching, I call it your ROE, Katie, your return on energy.
Yes.
And if we don't, and if we do something to give back to ourselves, whatever that is that looks like you, I think it makes it less effective as business owners, entrepreneurs, even as a wife, girlfriend, partner.
Yeah, completely agree with you. So I keep a really, really, it's so near and dear to my heart, my morning routine. And when I don't do my morning routine, I find myself a lot more cranky maybe than I would normally be in the afternoon. And my morning routine actually consists of some yoga and some Tai Chi. I have enjoyed so much our beautiful Arizona mornings as of late because I've been doing it outside in my backyard underneath the beautiful sky. And so that's one thing that I do. I love music, and in a former life, I was going to be a Broadway star. So I tell you what, if you ever want to take a road trip with me, you'll get all the Broadway hits. And I love singing. That just kind of takes the weight off of my shoulders. So I'll go around singing at the top of my lungs, and that makes me really, really happy. And then I just love spending time with my family in any way, shape, or form that I can. I'm married to my high school sweetheart. He is amazing. We have one amazing daughter who just got married 2 years ago. So any connections that I can make with my family, they bring me so much happiness. I'm also an avid reader, and anything that's outside and anything that has to do with the water. Stand-up paddleboarding, oh my gosh, I can't wait till it gets a little bit warmer so I can get back out there on the lake. So yeah, any of those kind of things just actually fill my soul and feed me and make me so much a happier person.
I love that. I love that. So how can people get in touch with you, Katie? It's really important that they have all the information they need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I will tell you, you are absolutely invited to contact me directly. I live and breathe on my cell phone. Of course, I'm a realtor. That's what we do. So my cell phone number is 480-415-1341. And if you can't remember that or didn't write it down fast enough, of course, you can go to our website, which has so many resources for people. If you want to find out what your home value is, if you want to search for homes just for fun, we've got blogs and video blogs there. We have so much information on our website that it is honestly the hub of where you can find anything for me. And that website address is www.living48realestate.com. And just to help explain it for everybody, because you would be surprised how much I get this question. People say, Living 48. I don't understand Living 48. Arizona is the 48th state.
48th state.
Country. And so that's it. I love living in our 48th state. And yeah, I plan on living and being here until the end.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show today and giving me the honor of interviewing you.
Thank you so much for having me, Donna. It was fun.
Wow, that was awesome. So our next guest, I'm very excited, is Billy Batt. He is a founder of Chrome Leads, owner of Batt's Roofing Group, and studied at Cardone University. Welcome, Billy.
Hey, how's it going today?
Awesome. So you're in a little bit colder country, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm up in an igloo. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm over it. I'm up just outside of Toronto in Canada, one of the main hotspots out here. And just, well, we operate mainly in the States. A lot of our stuff is virtual, except for the roofing groups up here. And we have another company down in Orlando. And then, but yeah, with the marketing, with the leads, that is, we are in about, I don't know, 30, 35 states right now. So
awesome. So what's the weather like there in Canada?
Just mild, just a light sweater is all you need really right now. So it's starting to warm up because we're gearing towards the end of April. So that winter,
a light sweater to you is probably a coat to us in Arizona.
Yeah, actually it is. I got friends down in Arizona and they're like, I'm sweating. I'm like, I wish I was.
When I moved back from Ohio, it's central Ohio, it got pretty cold, 45 below. And the first year I was great. And man, after that, my blood thinned right back out. And now I'm, freezing at, 50 degrees, going it's cold.
Yeah.
So give us a little background of yourself. Where are you originally from, Canada?
Yeah, so I was born over on the East Coast. Actually, when I first left there, you could barely understand me. It's like a broken English Irish kind of talk over there. So, and then I slowly moved west, and then I've been spending a lot of time traveling around the U.S. I was actually just in Arizona for about 2.5 months at the end of last year.
Okay, awesome. And so I like to get a little background on my guests when I interview them. So
Mm-hmm.
Billy, were you always an entrepreneur, or like many, did you start out in corporate world? Did you bounce back and forth?
No, I actually have a pretty unique story. I left my home at 13. Me and my father were having conflict, and it was just nonstop. And I left, and I was on my own. I had to grew up on the streets for a little while, and then one thing led to another, and then I ended up leaving there and went and worked in the oil field for about almost 8 years. And that was 12 to 16 hours a day. And the oil crashed in 2015. And from that moment, and I had like in and out jobs of sales and training, and I did a bit of that, this and that, like in between, right? But after that, that's when I really started diving in, started reading books and studying trainings in 2015, and just really started learning marketing. I was selling marketing packages while learning. And so I was doing this while working 12-hour days, 7 days a week in the oil field, learning and making sales while I was doing it on night shift, on day shift, just whatever it took to. After the crash, I had a little bit of work, but then it was nothing. So I just went all in on myself and my business, plain and simple.
Nice. So you were definitely a self-made entrepreneur. You were
Yeah.
almost literally born into it with those circumstances.
Yeah, the drive, the work ethic is there, and now I just found something to put it towards, and we're helping a lot of people too during this crazy time. We've been releasing free trainings and stuff like that just to help other people get some more customers, plain and simple.
Great. So would you do me a favor and tell everyone listening a little bit about what it is exactly um, that you do?
Okay, so yeah, I can definitely get into that. So, a long story short, what we do for contractors, real estate, lawyers, accountants, you name it, there hasn't been an industry we haven't been able to tackle, spearhead and come out winning. We get customers and leads in live time. Like right now, we're not trying to wait 3 months to get a customer. We're trying to get you customers within the next 24 to 48 hours. And we like to operate with speed. So when we get people signed on with us, we like to send them leads ASAP and multiple every day to keep them busy, especially now. A lot of people, they can't door knock, they can't, even leave letters in the on their doors or whatever they're trying to do. Their place of operation has changed. They got half their employees, if not all their employees, working from home and trying to manage that and still able to keep their company culture. So what we're able to do is able to fill their pipelines while they're still structuring out their new systems. And actually our business has picked up more than ever since this has started, but we've also ramped up our actions as well. So it's a direct correlation too at the same time.
Nice. And so literally you're talking any industry.
Yeah, you could come to us and it just has to make sense financially for the type of industry. We have different packages. Some are pay-per leads, some are retainers, some we're coming in and we're showing you free strategies so they can afford our services. Bring them up. But we're all about helping people at the end of the day, helping businesses. So it's like first we hop on a call, see where you're at, look at what you have going on, and then we can ask a couple questions and make an educated decision if we're even a good fit to work together. Contractors and real estate professionals have been our main bread and butter, a bit of doctors, a bit of lawyers too. But, like I said, there hasn't been an industry we haven't tried to tackle and it hasn't worked out.
That's fabulous. And I have different packages available for people.
Oh yeah, whether it comes to leads, branding, websites, we'll even do a free audit. If you have an in-house guy, you can just take the notes, or a girl, and take the notes and do what you will with them. We give our 2 cents, and we always try to leave a little value on our phone calls too. A couple tips, couple things they can do. Send them free resources as well, so they can market themselves on like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. We also have a call center too for certain things, like if there's a storm that comes through. So we're online and we have a call center at the same time.
Nice. So let's go back a little bit. I'm curious. So I asked Katie in my business. It sounds like you work pretty much all the time. Am I correct?
Yeah. Well, because what I do is I get something accomplished and things start going good, and then I'm like, okay, I need to figure out how to do more, right? And so that's why we're launching our podcast. I'll drop it here now. It's called the New World Marketing Order. We're actually dropping that in the next couple weeks here. We're booking a ton of celebs. I've already got 4 people booked, and my artwork and nothing is even done yet. Like I just made the decision last week, literally.
Wow.
And we're being published in 6 articles right now. So we got a lot going on, and I'm actually thinking we're going to have some more publishings coming up here soon too.
That is incredible. So you stay pretty busy. What are some let me ask you this. For an entrepreneur who says maybe they're a lone entrepreneur, or maybe has one employee kind of helps them with some of the back end kitchen stuff.
Yeah.
What kind of leads would you, so they're not super high up yet making a lot of money, what kind of a lead referral would you suggest for them?
Oh, for them, like just starting out as like something that they can do, like take action right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like so they can get. So one of the biggest things, I actually give out this training for free. I'll give a quick breakdown. Facebook groups, buy and sell groups. Start there. Post your stuff in there, maybe once, twice a day. Make a spreadsheet of all the different buy and sell groups that you're in, and keep track of how often you're posting in them. Don't post too often. Like if you post in 10 groups all at one time, you'll probably get labeled as spam because it's spamming. But if you did 2 or 3 every hour and a half, or even have an office if you got an assistant, or if you got time, and you can do it right from your cell phone and just have a copy paste in your notes. Put your website, your contact information, let them know what you do, let them know your specials. Tell them if it's something where you're in somebody else's home, let them know you're maintaining a safe social distance and all that. Just let them know that they're safe and being able to work with you, and obviously do a good job at whatever it is that you do as a business. And then another thing would be connecting on LinkedIn, and building referral relationships. LinkedIn is really good for referral relationships. It takes a couple messages, but if you hit a couple good referrals, that can spring your business up and double it within the first year. If you're only going slow, you get one good referral partner, and that's all you really need for your business.
I love that, because that is network together is being family, but we are a referral family.
That's why I'm here.
Maybe, right? I mean, so maybe not, right. Maybe not everybody, maybe you don't need high energy performance coaching, but you might know 3 people who do.
Yeah, who knows? You never know.
Right?
Actually, high performance, like productivity, has been one of the main things I've been working on. Following my calendar and living by it religiously. Like every single thing that I do is in my calendar. There's not a meal that's not on my calendar. My morning routine, my content, my sales calls, or whatever it is, or managing my teams, whatever it is I'm doing, it's all in the calendar, and it's made me 10x productive.
That's interesting. So, all right, tip number 1, put it in your calendar and make it work. Yeah. So I want to ask you something, and I asked Katie this, I asked all my guests. As a high energy performance coach, I'm big on ROE, return of energy, and that comes in many forms. But as an entrepreneur, as a business person, Billy, I really believe that decharging is a huge way to go forward with your business. What do you do to take off your entrepreneurial hat?
You mean taking a breather?
Yeah, like what do you do to recharge your battery?
I don't really take too many breathers. I'm gonna be honest. I'm only 29 years old, so I'm still full of testosterone and energy myself. When I do, though, I spend a little time with my daughter. She's 3 years old. I'll take, play some games or something with her, play with her toys. That's one of the things. And before, I used to go and like to go to networking events, but events are sort of on hold right now, and it's actually, I've sort of got the itch to go to one, actually, not gonna lie.
Maybe I'll step inside.
Yeah. No, that's what I would do, take a break from work, but I like to go meeting people. It's something I like to do.
Right.
So even though it's not like really like sleeping on my couch, but that there is a relaxing activity for me, even though it is a high energy activity, it's just, it's one of my zones. Like I'm good around people, and that's that there. I'm comfortable there, right? So that's what I do.
Okay, that's a recharge too. That works. Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah. Okay, so you travel a lot. Yeah. You said you were just here, so that's awesome. I'm sorry I didn't get the chance to meet you, but next time you're in town, we'll meet up.
Won't be long.
So I'd love to have the people be able to get a hold of you. Tell us the best way to get a hold of you, because honestly, Billy, there's a lot of people out there who need what you have, and knowing that you have different levels, it's not starting way up here.
No problem. Yeah. So what you can do, I have my new website for my podcast coming out. It's called the newworldmarketingorder.com. That'll be, save that. That'll be for later. But to contact me directly, Mr. Billy, Billy, Batt at chromeleads.com, Mr. Billy Batt at chromeleads.com. Shoot me an email and just say training, and I will send you a free training where you can take and use and put in your business within the next 30 minutes after watching it.
Oh, that's sweet. I appreciate you giving that out to everybody.
Not
Billy, it was absolutely my pleasure to get to meet you and interview you today.
Yes, thank you.
I really appreciate you being on the show.
Oh, yes, and we'll chat soon. Take care.
Absolutely. Wow, that was really interesting. Our next guest, I'm very excited, is Michael Cabradilla. Michael.
Hey,
welcome.
How's it going, Donna? Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Great show so far.
Thank you. I am so excited you're here. So before we start, I want to brag a little bit about you. You are a Legal Shield associate in California.
That's correct.
You are also a DJ.
That is correct also.
Right. And probably your most important and dear thing to your heart is that you are a husband and a father to two beautiful girls.
Absolutely. That's what I love. Our two daughters, they're 5 and 7, and they're running the house right now. So
I got news for you. All my children are grown. I'm 55 years old, and they will run the house until they get out of the house.
There you go.
It's part of it. It's part of it. So tell us a little bit about you before we get into exactly how you came to be into Legal Shield. Let's start with where you're originally from.
Sure. Well, I was born and raised, born here in San Diego, California. But when I was 3, I actually moved out to DC in Maryland. A little bit tidbit. My dad was in the Navy and he was a cook, and he was actually stationed in the White House during the Reagan and the first Bush administrations, and he was cooking for them. And so we lived out there, but I moved back out here to San Diego. Been here throughout junior high school, college, and obviously now. And so I'm originally from there. And, now, like you mentioned, I got the 2 girls. I've been happily married with my beautiful wife. This year will mark 9 years that we've been together. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. So did you start out as an entrepreneur, or did you kind of work your way into it like many and found that corporate world isn't always working for everybody? That W-2, yeah, it's kind of steady, but there's a lot of strings with the W-2 that a 1099 doesn't have.
Yeah, it's interesting that you asked that question, because my business career and entrepreneur career actually started in high school with the DJ business. So essentially one day, my cousin, he picked me up from high school with a few of our buddies, and he said, "Hey, do you want to be a DJ?" And I said, "What do you mean by that? I've never even thought of that." And they said, "We need $200. So essentially they needed money to be able to buy a turntable so they could start a DJ business. And I ended up investing the $200. They ended up, quitting and not really being interested. So they left all the equipment with me. And I bring this up because at the time, I didn't know that we were going to turn it into a business. I didn't know I could get paid for doing something that was really fun. Mm-hmm. And even after, maybe almost 10 years of being a DJ, I never really called it a business. But then looking back at it, and then somebody one day was like, "Mike, you're a business owner. You've been a DJ for X amount of years. I mean, you market yourself, you get clients, you get paid doing it, you're professional at what you do." But I didn't see myself as a business person at that time, or even an entrepreneur, that's kind of where it all started. But to really answer your question a little bit further, I remember working at a mortgage company as a bill collector, and I remember sitting there and just thinking like, man, is this what the rest of my life is going to look like? Because this is not fun. And I remember I came across the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it blew my mind. Like I just started thinking of things differently, and I read the cash flow quadrant as far as where, money comes from. And I remember all I was doing was only trading time for money. And, there had to be, something else, something different. And, that's what got my wheels turning to think about something else.
That is awesome. I love that. I started out when I was probably, if I'm really honest and truthful, I hustled dime. Back in my day, a dime was a lot of money, rake up leaves. And I did it everywhere I could, So yeah, I'm with you. Corporate world is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not for everybody. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say, and I want your opinion on this, Mike, even though you have more freedom, if you will, as an entrepreneur or owning your own business on that 1099, you actually have to work harder than you do for a W-2.
I would definitely agree. And I got to share this with you because obviously I've been working with Legal Shield now since 2005. It started off as something very, very part-time. It took me about 10 months to transition into full-time, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember when I just recently celebrated our 14 years of being job-free, right? Like just transitioning into the entrepreneurial world. And I remember, I quit my job on a Friday. It was actually Good Friday that year of 2006. And I remember Monday, I woke up, didn't have to go clock in anywhere, didn't have to carpool with my roommate because we worked at the same place. But I literally sat on my couch the first hour, not for an hour, but I started crying. I honestly didn't know what to do because I had like for that period of time that I was working in corporate America, somebody else told me what to do. Somebody gave me the orders. Somebody told me like clock in at this time, clock out. And here I was sitting on my couch the first day of like not having anybody else tell me what to do. And I realized obviously over a period of time, yes, we definitely need to put in work when other people are not working. Those are usually the times that we're working. So my schedule is totally different from majority of people out there, especially in the corporate world. So you're right.
So tell us, I know all about Legal Shield, and I think it is absolutely one of the most valuable tools out there for people to use. But there are people who have not yet heard of it. Mike, would you please share exactly what Legal Shield can do, not only for an entrepreneur, but for just mom and dad with kids, with everyday people?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And definitely thank you so much for the platform to be able to share it. It's interesting because my dad has been a subscriber to our services now for over 20 years. I've obviously been a subscriber now for almost 15. So imagine having a mobile app on your phone that you can tap and you can access an attorney anytime that you need to. You really think about it. Things that I've heard over the years is if you don't know what your rights are, it's kind of like you don't have any, right? And so the first time that I took a look at Legal Shield, I was actually really amazed because I never knew that there was anything like it. Some people liken it to legal insurance. Some people liken it to, having an attorney on retainer. But the cool thing is about Legal Shield, the top 3 things that people use it for is number 1, if you ever need to speak with an attorney and get legal advice, you can tap the button on the app, call into the law firm, and you can get legal advice on anything. So just the other day, I had questions in regards to, things that are going on currently with COVID-19 and things that I can do and cannot do as far as my business. My wife has a baking business from home. So she woke up one day and someone told her like, hey, here in San Francisco, all the baking businesses from home are actually shut down. So she freaked out. And I said, and she's like, hey, do you know anything? Do you know anyone we can talk to? And said, hey, we have a Legal Shield. Like, let's call the law firm. Let's ask them what our rights are in this particular situation, and let's get some advice. And that day, she was able to pick up the phone, call the law firm. They were able to give her some advice on that. Like even homeschool right now, like our daughters are here at home, and we had questions about schooling and like, a lot of people have daycare issues and things like that. I had a cell phone issue that I had, I think it was my first year having Legal Shield. And I said, you know what, I'm going to call my law firm. And the second thing that they do is they actually write letters or they make phone calls on your behalf. And you and I both know, Donna, that a letter from you or I, like if I write a letter to a big company,
whatever.
it's not gonna have as much weight as an attorney or a law firm writing it. And it's interesting because at the mortgage company I used to work at, I was actually a bill collector at certain points. Like I would call the borrowers and say, hey, you guys owe money right now. And there were certain times where it was like a victim of identity theft and someone had like purchased a loan in their home. And while I was on the phone with them, when I was a Legal Shield associate already, I was thinking, man, these people need Legal Shield right now. They need some type of recourse, some type of access, because honestly, most people don't have access to knowing what their rights are. And that's what Legal Shield does. You know, it gives you access 24 hours a day. They can review contracts and documents and things like that. And it can be something as simple as, actually, this is kind of funny. Years ago, my wife and I were driving down a road, and both of our daughters were in the back, and they were just being very, very loud. And Donna, I'll share this with you. I don't know if it was me or my wife, but we just asked the questions. I wonder how old they have to be before we can just leave them at home by themselves. You know, like, we need freedom, right? Like earlier today, my wife and I went to the chiropractor, and we didn't have the kids with us. And my wife grabbed my leg, and she's like, I love the times when we're able to go to the chiropractor on our own. So, you know, like, just as parents, you know, it's just, you know, quiet time, right? But anyways, like I asked that question, and here's my first instinct. Even though I'm a Legal Shield member, my first instinct was to grab my phone and Google it. Here's the challenge: most people, when they have a legal situation or question, they Google it. But how much of Google can you really trust or know that it's actually credible? So instead of just Googling it, the moment later, I said, you know what? Let's call Legal Shield. And it was such a simple question, but I love the fact that anytime I have a question, I can just pick up the phone. I mean, you know, it's such a nominal fee, about $1 a day, to be able to have access to it. And, you know, that's the gist of what, you know, Legal Shield is able to provide for people. It gives people peace of mind.
Well, I think you made a valid point, and I want to elaborate on that, Mike, is that, yes, we all have, you know, these handy little phones, right?
Yeah, sure.
We use them all the time, especially, you know, when we're in business. But here's the deal. When you said that, it just clicked in me. You know, we Google it. What is the accuracy depending on your question, right? Because things in legal world change at a phenomenal light speed.
Especially right now.
Right? That doesn't mean that what you have on your phone with Google is going to be accurate. And if you take that advice, you could end up in a world of hurt.
Yes, absolutely. You know, it's interesting because I network a lot in so many different industries. And obviously, one of the reasons why I wanted to reach out, even with Network Together, is like, wow, this is a great opportunity for me to network with some people that aren't even in my backyard. But when I think about different industries, I'm part of a local real estate organization. I'm part of a local Hispanic organization. I'm part of a local healthcare, you know, organization, a senior care organization. And sometimes people ask me, like, Mike, why are you in all of these different, you know, industries? Number one, I could promote our DJ business and the photo booth business. It's everybody needs those. But as far as Legal Shield goes, they're like, you know, earlier with Katie, you know, she's talking specifically about the real estate industry. Guess what? Laws are changing right as we speak. You know, in the senior care industry, guess what? Laws are changing as we speak. You go to a retail store right now, you go to Walmart, go to Costco, guess what? Things are changing in those spaces right now. When people are going back to work, guess what? They're going to have questions about employment, questions about certain things, and laws are changing. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's huge, important. Because I would hate to think that somebody could get in serious financial trouble and lose anything and everything that they've ever worked for getting improper information. Yeah,
that's correct. Absolutely.
Especially like you know, you brought up the fact of kids. Okay, let's do the math on that. You know, I had a son, and he was kind of rowdy. Thank God he didn't do it to anybody else, but he decided to chuck the little pea pebbles with the spoon, right on the garage door window. Boosh, shattered. You know, luckily he has mom who could fix it. But had that been somebody else, that could have been a whole different scenario.
Yeah, you're right. It's funny because you mentioned that story I shared earlier. You know, I found out that in the state of California, there is no like legal age that you can just leave kids at home, because they said you can have a 14-year-old that's responsible, and you can also have a 14-year-old that is not responsible. You know, so legally we're all responsible as parents. So,
you know, it takes a village, does it not?
That's correct.
It absolutely takes a village. So I'm curious. What are the most sought after things that you have found your clients use Legal Shield for?
Sure.
Give us some examples so that people really get a true understanding.
Okay. A landlord-tenant situation. So people have issues, you know, even currently right now with dealing with a landlord, or maybe they have tenants or they're a tenant, that type of thing. contract and document situations. So for instance, if you have a contract, insurances, for instance, we like to say that Legal Shield is the insurance for your insurance companies. Currently, right now, there are insurances that are not paying out premiums specifically because of XYZ, or they're trying to keep your money. Legal Shield's in there to make sure that that company does what they're supposed to do. You might get an erroneous bill, like I mentioned earlier, a cell phone bill. I had a buddy of mine in Seattle, Washington, got a $1,200 cell phone bill. The law firm was able to write a letter on his behalf, and they knocked off $1,100 from that bill. So I have a guy, just recently contacted me. He's, getting a $600 bill from PlayStation right now. And his son didn't understand that he was purchasing things on there. They're giving him a strong arm. And I don't know if Legal Shield is going to be able to help him in that situation, but guess what? It's worth a try because, a letter from an attorney is a lot more powerful than just you or I trying to fight the system, So anytime that somebody's feeling like they get taken advantage of, Legal Shield could potentially be a good fit for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I think it is an invaluable tool to have for everybody for the fact that life happens. And it doesn't just happen to entrepreneurs, business people. It happens to everyday people, kids, pets. I'll give you an example. I have beware of dog signs on my front door, on my gate in the alley, on my side gate, because I've got a 4-foot-long dog who's very, very, very protective of mama. And he could do some damage, right? If I didn't have that up, then anybody who got hurt I would be liable because there was no warning.
Sure. And it's interesting because Legal Shield is a preventive service, right? So most people, when they think of legal situations, they think of bankruptcies, espionage, like divorces, bad situations. But Legal Shield is there as a preventive service where it can help you to make better decisions. And regardless, and you don't have to think about the price, right? Because attorneys can be very, very pricey. Like I had somebody who got a sandwich at Subway and he ordered extra lettuce and tomatoes and they wouldn't give it to him. And then the law firm was able to write a letter on his behalf, and they ended up sending him an apology letter and then a coupon for a free sandwich. So it could be a $5 footlong or it could be a larger issue. It doesn't really matter what it might be.
Well, and I think that's huge to understand that the price difference. So even just if, and I'm throwing this number vaguely on my experience, but just to go see a everyday attorney, you're not going to be able to see one under $1.50 an hour.
Oh, no, not at all.
Right?
Not at all. Yep, you're right.
Yeah. And they have hour, or even half hour. They break it down into half hours.
Actually, honestly, they break it down by every 6 minutes. If you ever take a look at an attorney's bill, there are some law firms that break it down by the 10th of an hour. So a 10th of an hour is 6 minutes. So that's how they bill. It's interesting.
Nice. So what do you do real quick? In just a brief sentence, what do you do when you take your entrepreneur hat off, Mike?
I love just hanging out with my daughters. They definitely give me a lot of joy, even though they're crazy sometimes too. But I just got to, take a breath, take a moment, just hold them in my arms. I usually stick my arms out and they come running and, give me a big hug. So that's that. The other thing too is I don't play like a ton of video games, but there's one video game that's been very, very consistent, and it's been Madden on PlayStation just for years. Just every now and then I'll jump on there, and I love football in general. So go Chargers, even though they're not in San Diego anymore.
Ohio State Buckeyes.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Michael, it was incredible having you on as my guest today. I can't thank you enough. I so enjoyed our time together.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Donna.
Thank you. Wow. Was that an incredible show? Robert, what do you think about our speakers today?
What I really loved about the speakers today is, the first word that comes to mind, and we talk about it in Network Together all the time, is, they are here to serve others. Whether it's helping someone in a crisis, whether it's getting someone business right now, whether it's knowing and understanding the changing laws, the changing real estate environment. All three of our guests today are truly experts in their field, and what they're here for and why they're great is because they you know, I say this a lot, and you know this, Donna. I always say you have to have your heart set before you can work on the mindset. Yep. And I think that they're truly successful because they have a hunger, you know, to help others. And it's very clearly evident in how they spoke today.
Absolutely. If you can't have a servant's heart, it's going to show.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, and I really like you brought out a lot of, you know, their life and all these twists and turns. And, you know, it's also interesting to know that each and every of our guests, you know, they all have kids. You have kids. I have kids. And, you know, no matter what, I mean, you know, balancing our life and, you know, Billy, it's like, he's like, wait a minute, I had to really think about like what he does when he has an entrepreneurial hat off. He's like, man,
I know.
I
really caught him
at that age, and we got to get him some hobbies.
I know. I thought, man, you're 29, but 35 is coming quick, brother.
Yeah, you know, and you know, and life is you know, only so long. And I'm like, yeah, be diligent in your profession, but you know, just make sure that you have enough plates up there. You look back at your life and you say, you know what, you know, the life wasn't just full of business. Life was full of family, and I think that's really important for all of us.
Yeah, that is full of, you know, of that heart time that you are, yes, you're doing something incredibly important and with a servant's heart, but make sure to serve yourself so that you can serve others better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm really enjoying each and every week with this radio show, but you know, I
am too.
And before you close, I just really want to say thank you again, Billy and Katie and Michael, for just being tremendous guests on our show. I think
weren't they outstanding?
Everyone.
Absolutely. They were outstanding. So, you know, we are super excited that you joined us here today, and I can't thank you enough. I love spending each and every week with you and can't wait to see you again next week. Remember to subscribe to our channel, bookmark all your networking activities at ntvent.net, and let's get together and do referrals and meet each other, and like us on our Facebook page. Guys, I had a terrific hour. I can't wait to see you next week and be here with you again. Bye-bye.